It is a little bit after 7.
Don't pay him.
Right about 7, and when Mr. Higgins is done here, we'll start our meeting. Normally I'm sitting on this side of the table, but tonight I'm going to start standing over here. As an attorney in court, I'm told to address the jury, stand and speak to them. And I feel a little bit uncomfortable sometimes sitting back there talking to everyone. I'm accustomed to standing and roaming and talking. Sometimes using my hands a little bit more vigorously than I'm trained to do. But I want to start out this evening with our mayor's comments, and I want to address the Board of Aldermen. So that's why I'm standing here tonight. We had a sales tax initiative passed by 21 votes. That was my creation, my baby. I will take credit for it being on the ballot. I will take blame for it being on the ballot. I will accept that. I will not accept the, I guess, pride of getting that passed. I did not stand alone. I had a lot of people helping me push for that and getting that passed. That being said, my wife pointed out something to me that was stuck in my head and caused me to do a lot of thinking. Melissa is very intelligent. She's a lot smarter than I am in many ways. She sees things that I do not see. And sometimes she thumps me on the head and reminds me. And she told me, Andrew, and this is well before the election, she said, Andrew, if this sales tax initiative does not pass, it's because your Board of Aldermen didn't stand behind it and push for it. You as the mayor, the person setting the agenda and the tone, worked for it. You did not have your city government, your Board of Aldermen working with you. And that made me think, we don't have a board that seems to be united, pushing for things. And that bothered me a little bit. Another thing Melissa told me a long time ago is that, Andrew, you can't do everything. And that's something I mentioned to the group at our first town hall meeting. If I go out there and I work hard, day and night, I'm going to fail. I need people working with me, side by side, to accomplish our goals. Melissa says, Andrew, you need to learn how to delegate things. Most recently, I've been doing that. And to some success. I'm happy. I have aldermen who want to work with me. But I'm still perplexed. I was scared to death at our last meeting. We discussed the Locust Street project, completing that and moving forward to the next project. And the notion of keeping our crew we're going to assemble together, moving forward, using the sales tax money to keep that ball rolling, to keep getting things accomplished. And one of our aldermen put up the stop sign, whoa, Andrew, we simply can't do that. We can only do one thing at a time. We've got to complete this project, and then we start thinking about the future. And that scares me, folks. We need to have about 7 irons in the fire, 8 irons, 10 irons. We need to be thinking forward and keep this train moving. Right now we have the ability to do things. We have the capacity to do things. And we need to start thinking forward, not backwards. So my questions to the Board of Aldermen, individually, and I'll start at this end. I'll start with Mr. Farrell. What is your vision of the city? Where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to move to?
Well, we need to try to find some more jobs for the city.
Okay.
And we're working on streets, and do more work on streets. Not talking about all the town.
Okay. And my question to you now is, what have you done to promote those goals?
You know, should find more jobs. I've done very little. I don't know where to start. Where to contact.
Okay. Mr. Hicks, where do you see our city heading? What do you want to accomplish?
We need more jobs, unemployment. We also need some industrial park, I think, more than anything right now. I have been to California, Missouri. I talked to Tyson. I have been to Bass Tracker and several more places trying to get employment, and they're afraid to. everything. We have no buildings for them to start with. All the other towns that's grown, they have buildings, industrial parks that they lease for, stuff like that.
Okay. It's my understanding we have an abundance of buildings here. My
For
economic,
industrial,
Sure.
such as,
we've got the chicken plant.
we don't own that.
No, but it's an asset to our city.
That's true too. It's still sitting there too. For how long?
A while now. Mr. Piper, I know a little bit about your vision. And I will state to the board that Mr. Piper very early on came to me. I wanted to build sidewalks. Mr. Piper came to me with a solution. He said, Andrew, here's what we want to do. We want to hire people locally who know what they're doing and put them to work doing it. And we accomplished that. I understand your vision, Mr. Piper. You want to, it's not going fast enough. Well, I guess my question to you is, what have you done to move it faster?
I just ordered hard.
I understand, and we're working on it. We're working. Mr. Stafford, what is your vision for our city?
Well, I think the immediate need to the city is we have to clean it up. We have to have new people. We have to be one of the best bedroom towns north of Springfield. There's enough square footage of industrial usage in southwest Missouri that's vacant, so the chances of us getting industry at the present time is pretty thin. But almost every new family that we bring in, 3 new families are equal to 2 manufacturing jobs. So we've got to clean the town up. We've got to make it where people want to live in our town. It's good schools, great police protection, great streets, clean town. If we don't give these, the industries will never come. So my feeling, so what I can see for the town is that we've got to, as a whole, every department, everybody has got to clean our town up.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you in a moment what you've done to do that, but I could tell the rest of the board that Mr. Stafford has done quite a bit, because he came to me early on and said, Andrew, we've got a problem, we need this. Andrew, do this. Go forward, Andrew, and make this happen. And I put my hands up and said, Jess, that sounds great. Why don't you go ahead and chase those rabbits? Why don't you work for those goals? Mr. Stafford, I'm pleased to say you have not let me down. You have worked tirelessly to promote the goals that you want to achieve as an alderman. Mr. Rieshel, what is your vision for the city of Buffalo? What do you want to accomplish as an alderman?
China is too big.
Okay. And what do you want to do about the size of China, sir?
You want to proceed, but you want to proceed deliberately. I think you can have too many irons in the fire.
Okay,
Simply that.
fair enough.
That's the problem with the federal government. If you don't have the money, you can't spend. Step 1, get the money. Step 2, spend.
Certainly, and I wasn't talking that we need to overextend ourselves or dream big. We just need to be dreaming and moving forward.
I understand.
Ms. Horn, what is your vision for the city of Buffalo?
I agree with Jess. We really need to clean up our town. It's declined in the last 20 so years, and I haven't even been here that long, but I want this town to be a place that my kids want to stay and raise families. And right now, when I look around, our youth, they can't wait to get out of this town. They just can't wait. I mean, there's nothing for them here. And so I agree that we need to clean the place up and attract business. I mean, attract jobs. They're not attracted to a dumpy old town.
And I guess my next question, what have you done to accomplish those goals?
I joined an aesthetics committee and ran for office, and here I sit. So, kind of new, but.
And I'll point out to the Board of Aldermen, Ms. Horn came to me not too long ago after seeing Jess working his tail off. And Ms. Horn said, Andrew, Mrs. Horn said, I apologize. I feel like I'm not doing my part. There must be more I can do. I said, well, let me think. I have some chores for you to do. I have some goals for you to accomplish, and Ms. Horn has been working diligently. And we need to talk about some of this. We have an elected government here and we can all come to meetings twice a month, and we can sit here and talk about asphalt and what the bids were and how much asphalt we can buy and how are things at the sewer plant. Maybe we need a new diving board at the pool. But we need to start rebuilding our town. I believe that's what I was elected for. That's what I'm working very hard for. And I would appreciate the board supporting me in my efforts and coming to me and not saying, Andrew, you need to fix this, but Andrew, what can I do to help fix these things? We need to work together as a team. We can accomplish a lot. And I certainly appreciate input as well as labor. If anyone on this board wants to help us move forward the way Mr. Stafford has, and maybe Mr. Stafford was a little bit unwitting and didn't realize I was going to put him to work. But I appreciate his help, his efforts. And that's about all I have for the mayor's comments. I guess the only thing I could say other than my efforts to move us forward, sorry, if we think our government needs to go back to the old days where we didn't have vision, we didn't desire to do anything, we didn't care about how we looked, we didn't really care about how we were perceived from the outside, maybe I'm not the right mayor for the city of Buffalo. But as long as I'm sitting in this office, I'm going to work hard to make this a nicer community. And I would appreciate the support of our alderman to help us move forward. Does anyone have any questions? I see none. Modifications to the agenda. Are there any modifications? Citizen comments. Ms. Hawkins.
I know that comes as no surprise. I just want to really say that you covered a lot of what I was ready to pounce on tonight. My husband told me not to come here and be too radical. Wayne said that was like the, what'd you tell me?
Hot color and
Kettle black is what he said when I told him that. But basically, as a member of a nonprofit organization that has, for the last couple of years, assisted in removing old service stations and a lot of old buildings and so on and so forth, and also serving on the aesthetics committee. I spend a lot of time driving around Buffalo and checking things out. I'm really pleased to say that so many of our citizens have stepped up and are mowing, are keeping a lot of the litter down, cleaning up their yards. I think most people realize that if you've been out and about. Roger and his crew have worked really hard, and it shows, keeping things mowed. And thanks to the mayor for allowing all that to happen. I think previously, in past administrations, that just wasn't even addressed or sometimes even allowed. The reason I bring all this up is I would really like to see the city formulate a plan for the use of the increase in the tax money. And I want that to be a cleanup plan. I think that most people really stepped up and voted in favor of that tax in a time where a lot of people didn't want to, because they knew that it was going to be used for cleanup efforts. And I think they trusted the people who were encouraging them to vote, so in favor of it. The not-for-profit has done a lot of this without any financial assistance. One lady said, you mean you don't have the grant money that allows you to do this? And there hasn't been any funds to do this. It's just really been done. There have been some contributions, but not many. So the funds are going to be available now through this, and I think the city really needs to, quote, bite the bullet and do some of these things. I'm not sure if the voucher system that's in place with the trash people is understood by all the residents. I have gone around taking some pictures of stuff that's still sitting out by the street. And I really feel that if the voucher system isn't working or people don't understand it, that issue needs to be addressed so that we don't have things sitting out there. When people drive through and they see all that, what does that tell them? We don't care. I've got a whole lot of ideas. I'd like to give those to the board before the night's over, I just typed them up. But I really, really would like to see some discussion on this evening by the council to see if they can't formulate a plan. The school has a big sign up down there, and it shows the projects that they want to complete. And they've got little squares there where you can check them off. I think we need something similar to that so that the citizens can see what the plans are and see as they're completed that they indeed have been done. So, like I said, I would recommend that, I got a lot of good ideas, but I would recommend that the council create some type of a committee to actually get going on this. And I don't think that you have to do one project at a time. I think that you can have 2 or 3 going at the same time if you get the right people heading up those projects. So anyway, that's what I'm here. But I would really like, I presented this a good long while ago, and I've never seen only a few. I know there's some support from the council, but I haven't seen anyone step up and say we want to make a plan and get it going.
Thank you. Are there any other citizen comments this evening?
I just wanted to just present an idea. There are a lot of organizations in this little area that are out trying to make a difference and do things in their community. Would it be beneficial if somebody got together and maybe had a big gathering for all of your nonprofit, all of your, your 4-H, your neighborhood heroes, your homeschool groups, because I've actually helped speckled in different areas, and I see the same thing. I see handfuls of people struggling and putting so much energy into something and not enough help. And maybe if there was a uniting where everybody kind of shifted a little bit and helped here and helped there, it might encourage maybe some more things would get done, and kind of just pull some of the younger groups in with some of the older groups. Because I see a lot of groups where there's a lot of older people that are doing a lot of the work and things, and so, I mean, and I can only do so much myself. I get exhausted going and doing that. So, I mean, is there something that you could have, that like some kind of meeting could be started on a quarterly basis or something where all of your nonprofits get together and discuss what they can do together in the community?
Certainly, and that's something we mentioned at the Aesthetics Committee last week. The notion of community service. I guess the word community service has a negative connotation. Our city attorney, Mr. Elliott, could tell you all about prosecution and people who end up doing things they ought not to, and upon the finding of guilt, they are ordered to do community service. And it's a terrible burden that they go out there and do things for their community as some nasty form of punishment that is surely unfit and unfair. That being said, I want to point out that community service is not a punishment. It's not a bad word. It's something that we should all be mindful of. There's the old saying, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you sit there and think, why doesn't someone go and do something? Why doesn't someone put mulch around those bushes? To point that out and do nothing makes you a complainer.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm exhausted, so I've actually backed off on a lot because it is very hard to always be raising your hand and going out there and helping, and then just not having as much of a response, and then you end up, I mean, when you say you're gonna do things out in the community, you have to make sure those things get done, even if everybody else bails out on you. So what I'm saying is, when there's so many of these groups, find a way to unite them. I would love to do that, but I've got my hands in a couple of the things right now. I'd be part of the groups coming to be part of it. I wouldn't want to organize it.
No, I understand it,
Yeah.
and perhaps that's something that can be done through the Aesthetics Committee, or another function of government that unites public service organizations and steers them as far as what they can do for the community as a whole. I know, for example, I'm serving as the vice president for Habitat for Humanity, and we get a lot of stuff done, but most of what we get done is for Habitat. Fundraising for our next bill, working on our current bill. It's a never-ending process and cycle. But those folks who give so much to themselves and ask for nothing in return, aren't the only ones out there. There are lots of like-minded individuals, and it's a matter of organization and pooling. And once we do that, once we get our goals clearly and concisely stated, we can move forward to tackle them.
Okay, because this area just has an amazing amount of people who like to provide and do things in their community. And it's been just, a big, we compare it to out where we're from all the time. The mentality is so different here. And it's just surprising for such a small little area to have so much going on in the community and people trying to do so. That was just something I thought maybe if everybody come in.
Certainly, and that's, in one of my trainings, they put a visual of a wagon wheel. And that the city was the center and spoke of the wheel, and the spokes were all these organizations out there doing their own thing, but they were united by that center spoke of that community. And perhaps that would be a wonderful, wonderful volunteer project for one of our aldermen to step up and look towards getting the Optimist Club online, getting Habitat online, getting all these various organizations together to see what we can accomplish as a community.
May I comment?
Yes, sir.
This council's just been here 30 days. I mean, we're new. Sworn and I are our newest members here. Give us some time. We've tore down more properties inside the city limits of Buffalo in the last year than most major cities do. We've cleaned this town up, we've done a lot of things, and we're gonna do a lot more things.
Well, I have no complaints about Buffalo. I love Buffalo. You have no idea where I'm from. I love Buffalo.
This council has really got one obligation, and we're the county seat town. And we owe an obligation to the county, but our first and foremost #1 item here, as far as I'm concerned, is the people that are inside the corporate city limits of this town. They're the people who elected me to serve them. Nobody in the county did. They did. They've got to be my first obligation, and they shall be when it comes to the point that I think most of these counties, when I can't do that for my people, then have a special election, because I sure in hell won't be here. So we're trying as fast as we can. We got some of the greatest department heads in the world doing their work. We get ask them for anything, they do it. The mayor does great things. Our council will do great things. In the next 6 months, this town will do 180 degrees. I'll guarantee you. Jim's sitting down there, he wants things.
Yeah, I think you misinterpreted what I was saying. I was just giving an idea. I don't actually have an issue with Buffalo. I'm from Philadelphia, and I can guarantee you what you guys have here and you think is trashy is not trashy compared to where I come from. This is paradise for me. So I just wanted to present you with that idea. I just thought it would be helpful to the ones that...
Everything is helpful to the council.
Does anyone else have any public comments? Yes, sir.
I'd like to know if in your vision you see citizens in your utopia.
Okay. Ironically, I took a philosophy class, a 3-hour credit course geared towards utopias, so I'm not unfamiliar with that concept. And I think what I got from that class was that most utopias sound good on paper, but they rarely succeed. I'm not looking for a utopian society, I'm looking for a good society that's functional, that's growing and moving in the right direction. Now, when you say citizens, we have citizens. We have people that go to the polls and vote. We have people that build houses for those who cannot afford them. We have people who clean up our parks in their free time. Those are the citizens that I welcome in our community. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Any other comments? All right. Minutes and bills.
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We're gonna go with our roll call.
James,
Aye.
Larry,
Yeah.
Jim, Jess,
Aye.
Wayne,
Aye.
Christie. Aye.
Those are very creative. Oh,
Start somewhere.
okay. That motion passes. Department head reports. Ms. Bolson, administrator.
Any questions?
See no questions? Peyton, animal control.
Good evening. I really don't have anything to add to my report. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them for you.
Any questions for animal control?
Have you still got cargo down there?
No, I do not. We keep the puppies out of the pound. They go into foster care, and that reduces greatly. Unless we just get overrun, we will keep them out. We've had it twice.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Building inspection, sir.
I really don't have anything more to add to my report, but if there's any questions,
Any questions for our building inspector? I see none. Our fire department, sir.
Any questions?
See no questions for our fire department. Mr. Hurt, Parks and Recreation.
Should be filming the pool tomorrow, on Wednesday. And has to set a week or so just to let temperature warm up a little bit, but then it'll be ready to go.
You have all your people hired?
I believe we're working on that.
Do we have to have a lift in there?
We have to have a lift in there.
Lift. For a handicap?
And there's some literature on it that we're looking into present moment that's going to be handed down to have a lift in there. That I'm doing research on. It's on each body of water. That's all I have.
Any other questions of our Parks Director?
Are you ready for a new toilet?
Down at the new park? Yes.
Is it needed?
Very well needed. I'd say restrooms and all in one down there would be very nice to have.
I know there's a problem with the sewer.
No, we've got that figured out.
Okay, so we're ready to go.
You know the first rule of plumbing, don't
Running over on Jeff?
About that, you don't have, it's a shorter route than was first anticipated around the sewer line.
I think we're gonna go north instead of east.
Go north through Hales, down across my place, hook on the manhole cover across the creek. And all we gotta do is go in behind the state, where that line runs down, tap onto that. We don't have to go under it, we don't have EPA regulations. Build it.
Is there any reason why we can't get started on that?
We're waiting for
Well,
the.
we can't have too many irons in the fire.
No, we're waiting for the Bishop Memorial Fund to help us get started. Memorial Fund.
Yeah, I heard that.
I would anticipate that would be funded, it can't be funded through the transportation fund because it's not transportation related, but that would be a function of our capital, sales tax improvement. That will go into effect, I believe, October 1st, and we'll start getting checks from the state of Missouri around December 1st. So that would be something I would be very interested in jumping on early in the spring.
Summer's gonna be over. That's for the mic on.
And this is something that,
My reason for saying that is this is not a huge project. You know, this can be done for very little money. And, you know, it's disheartening to sit over there and watch these 3- and 4-year-old kids walk into that filthy porta potty. I mean, you ought to go over there and do it. And I mean, it's time to find the money and build. Period.
sir, if you'll help me in that endeavor,
I will do it.
We'll try to have one up by,
You know, Jim could, I mean, it'd be a conflict, but or Mike, or, I mean, there's all kinds of people could put that up and do a good job on it and build in a better concession stand and a restroom right there. And
Roger, what's it gonna take to lay that sewer line?
I thought about something like they had down to three bathrooms and the concession in the middle, bathrooms on both ends, something like that. Me and Bobby talked about it. Bobby, I'll kinda let you get your department, go ahead and tell that.
I mean, and that, we've talked about that, and that would work great, you know. The difference we'd have to.
Multi-purpose facility with a snack bar, storage area, and 2 restrooms.
Right.
Yeah. What's it gonna take to get that sewer line?
Randy would, I think we'd have to have it engineered to, you know, or get fall and stuff on it. But it ain't that, I don't think it would be that big a deal to do that.
Because that's all natural fall from the point that we intend to.
If we go straight down and hook on there at that man over state, I ain't, don't hold me to it, but I ain't sure that we have to have an engineer for. If we got a laser to shoot it and get fall, that's all we gotta have.
They put it in.
I ain't 100%.
How long would it take you to dig and lay that pipe?
Andy, I don't know if the city can do it, because it's gonna be deep in places. Whenever you get down there towards Jesse.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
we have a meeting in 2 weeks. Why can't we have in 2 weeks projection of the cost of the building and cost to put the line in 2 weeks? That's not that's a pretty short time, but that's a short lay. And it costs, the building construction will be more than anything else. And I would like to see Mr. Piper work on the building to come up with something designed and come in 2 weeks. Roger work on the sewer, Mr. Piper work on the building, and see what we can get done.
Mr. Chief will be a city employee. He has a little bit of experience and that sort of thing, I believe. So I will, before he gets on the clock officially, I will pick his brain for free.
Put a council member on it too.
Okay.
I charge over there, great. I get Social Security, I don't need that thing.
Okay. Mr. Hicks and Mr. Piper, it sounds like, can you work with Mr. Riechel?
Oh, yeah.
If you can't, let me know.
It's mine and his idea one Sunday down there.
Wonderful. And let's move forward. I have one more question of Mr. Coltrane. Is this something that we can kind of laser it and figure it runs downhill, we're going to be okay? Or are we going to have to give you a lot of money to figure this out?
Yes.
Donation.
Oh, that was an open.
It's something we can look at and see. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to put the concession stand, so.
Okay.
We just look in and see, and if it can be, it's more than likely, like Jess says, it's probably a downhill situation. It's just a question of making sure that it gets downhill in the right direction. So we'll take a look at it and see and let you know if it's something that you need us for, or if it's something that can be done.
Due to the fact we're not going to cross that creek, we're not involved with the state and federal government. It's just our line.
DNR's a little more picky now. Whenever you put out a new
It's a need-to-know basis.
line, yeah.
Fortunately, they need to know what we're doing in our bathroom.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Jess said in 2 weeks, a meeting, that's Memorial, are we gonna meet on Memorial night?
Why don't we schedule that right now? Well, we got our calendars out. What month is it? We could shoot for the 21st, that's next week. Or do we want to shoot for Tuesday, the 29th? Would it be unheard of to have an Alderman meeting on a Tuesday, the 29th? Are there any objections to that? We'll be doubly rested for that Tuesday, the 29th meeting. Mr. Farrell, thank you for pointing that out. All right, our next meeting will be scheduled for the 29th. Any other questions of our Parks and Recreation Department? Police Department, sir.
Okay, Police Memorial Week is the 13th through the 19th of this month, and as you notice, the officers are wearing the black morning bands in recognition of that. And we recognize the officer, Tulsa police officer Ray Cowan, who's buried in our cemetery here on Main Street. Tulsa Police Department have presented us a memorial flag in the United States flag placed on his grave. And we did that here last Friday. I wanted to make you aware of that. On our police statistics, for the month of May, we had 169 calls for service, 46 citations, 1 vehicle accident, and 30 arrests. 10 was for drugs and paraphernalia, 9 for warrants, 5 disorderly conduct, and 2 assaults, and then there was some other stuff. But that's about the gist of the report, and then I submitted the fuel report to you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for our police department? I see none. Street water report.
I haven't got anything on that report. I talked to Gurney just a couple weeks ago, and they said it's probably 30 or maybe 45 days out on the blacktop.
Okay.
And other than that,
And refresh my memory, what streets are we planning on blacktopping?
it'll be one block down here on Poplar, by the jail. That's pretty bad right in that area. Then I'm gonna jump from there to Madison Street and go to Mill. And then one block there on Mill from Poplar to Cedar. And that'll be all the streets back off except Alberta, and the cul-de-sac.
I had spoken with a few of our aldermen about the cost and whether or not those streets were necessary. And I forget which alderman I had spoken to regarding kind of perhaps skipping over some of those streets and focusing our attention on Alberta. And saving a little money back for other projects. Out there, Mr. Stafford, have you had a chance to look at those streets?
I've looked at them. Of course, Alberta has to be done. There's no question about it. At the present time, because of the Locust Street addition that we're going to do, and we've got to look forward, you're exactly right. But I want to make sure that we can fund the things that are really immediate right now, and that's the bathroom in the park. You know, asphalt's asphalt. You can finally get the stuff so thick you can't drill a hole through it. And as long as they're not breaking apart and as long as they're not just completely falling apart, I think that this year we need to back off on some of our expenses because we're going to be looking at some major things in the future next year. Maybe more streets. We know that that sewer and water's got to have some new equipment. They're going to have it to operate with. And I, myself, think that if we didn't do anything except Alberta Street this year and make a plan for next year and plan on spending some of that capital money for equipment that Roger's going to have, rather than to put us in a hole that we can't get ourselves out of and not have the equipment. And Roger knows, we've talked about this equipment situation, and it's going to get serious. We've got lucky and bought some trucks, but I myself would just, right at the present time, do Alberta Street, get that, because we owe those taxpayers that for years. We need to get that done and bypass the other at the present time. That's my personal opinion, and that, looking to the future, I would rather see us spend our money.
It's up to council, you know what, I mean, the streets that I've got picked, you know, they're rough and they're cracked. And that's the reason I picked them, because of the cracked and stuff, but they will probably hold another year. And then we get her feet all on the ground, then we go get it.
And the problem is, if we put it off for another year, does that double our problems with other issues elsewhere? I
doubt it, Andy. I mean, you know, I can keep the hose patch and keep everything, you know, pretty level. I mean, now and make it hold another year.
Why don't we try it this way? Roger, if you would meet with Mr. Stafford and Mr. Farrell, would you volunteer to meet with Roger and Jess? And you three gentlemen can take some time to go out and look at our streets and prioritize and see exactly what we need and why and how. And then report to the board at the next meeting. We'll have an idea of exactly what we want to get accomplished and why.
Okay. But just 4 blocks on the streets is what I have, 2, 3, 4, we got 4 blocks plus Alberta.
Thank you,
If
Jim.
we cut them 4 blocks out, and that ain't no problem, I can make it till next year. It may
Four
cost a
blocks
little
a
bit
week.
more, you know, it may take a little more material next year, but,
That 4 blocks
hopefully
might-
we'll have more money next year.
That 4 blocks might pay for that new mower we're looking for too.
Yeah.
And that brings up the second question I have for you, sir, is have you torn up any equipment for school? And when I say that,
I got today in, and I never tore up none today, that I know of.
I say that facetiously. I became mayor a little over a year ago, and it seemed like every week Roger would call and say, Mr. Mayor, something's broken down. And I'd say, oh no. And I went to Debbie and I thought, my luck is terrible. I get sworn in as mayor and everything's going to pot.
Everything's old, Andy, that we got.
And I found out this is kind of an ongoing condition and it's nothing new. So it would be nice if we won the lottery and the state were to donate brand new equipment all around, and Mr. Higgins would like a new fire truck, I'm sure. But, and I know, Gus, you have needs as well. But the goal is to move forward and be able to put the right tools in our hands to accomplish the right task. That being said, are there any other questions?
Roger, have you got your more people hired?
We got 3 hard, I don't know for sure on one of them. I don't, in the other 2, I think. That one boy, Kenny, he's gonna start Monday, this coming Monday. And then little Cox boy, he'll be starting maybe in the morning. He had social security number to get or something. And that's, I think, Debbie left it on the machine, that's all he likes, to have his birth certificate and social security card.
We've got a lot of work to do, and I know you need some help. No one, we get a drought, so we won't have this. We get a drought, there might be sick anyway, so.
I want to apologize to the mayor. I sprayed 65, but I never got back to sweep it and clean it up. I hadn't had the manpower and enough time to do it.
I really want to, one other thing, I didn't say this to the fire chief nor to the parks, but the fire chief washed down the city square prior to the art walk. Made it really look nice, and I hope that that continues, because you know, the firemen need to learn how to run a pumper, and we need their street clean, so it's a deal. But I think they did a great job. That's the thing. That's the kind of thing that we're looking forward to move forward with in the town. It's everybody help us clean it, and doing those little things, not a great big thing, just wash down the street, no dirt, no grass. Maybe we can get more merchants to paint their buildings and cut their grasses around the square here. So once again, I want to thank both of you for what you've done as far as helping clean up the square.
And I certainly want to add on to that. People notice when you're out doing stuff to better our community. When our police department's picking up old signs that people left out for yard sales. When our street department is out picking up mattress sale signs. When people see our city, you buy a mattress, did you, Roger?
I've got a bunch of signs.
When people see our government out doing things, they think, hey, this is good. Something's getting accomplished. That bozo Andrew Mead that got elected is actually working to do something for our community. So keep in mind, people are watching. And one day that really hit me like a hammer in the head of the nail, or some expression to that effect. KSBR 33 came down to do a story on our sales tax initiative. And everywhere we went, there were city employees out doing stuff. They took footage in front of the O'Bannon Center. Someone was spraying weeds out there. We ran around the corner to take video of old broken down sidewalks. And there was a city truck in the area accomplishing something for the city. Everywhere we looked, the city was out doing things. And it really hit me that day, the impact that we can have in the community. Again, I thank you. Any other questions for our street department? Tax collection report.
Any questions? It's pretty cut and dry most months.
Any questions? Wastewater treatment plant, sir.
Okay. First thing I want to talk to you about is this little pamphlet that I gave you all. The goal for this is, I would like you gentlemen to look this over, decide what you think, and I'll approach you again at the study session, and you can make your decision then on what you want to do. This is the second part of the EPA work. And this is strictly repairing manholes. I do want to call your attention to the back. I included a picture this time, for the very first time. This is the worst manhole I've come across since I've been doing this. It is out in the field and it goes to number 4 lift station. When you look at the cost analysis that I included in the paperwork, you need to add $250 because I'm not sure that that manhole has a floor in it. If it does not, then they're going to have to build it from the ground up, and they said that cost would be an additional $250 to fix.
Can't just pour concrete in them, just a bucket of concrete in them.
Yeah, we can try it. If you want to, it'd be all right with me.
Is this one on me?
Yes, sir, it is.
Isn't that the property owner's responsibility to make
So,
I think it's in the ordinance, isn't it?
some of it ought to be my responsibility, even when it backs up.
Yeah, that's right. The second thing is, I've got 2 lift stations I'm having a lot of trouble with. First one is number 1, it's the HFE on East Main Street at the bottom. It's my big one. It's got a thing called a Zurich valve in it. It's a 4-way valve. It went out. We've taken sledgehammers to it to try to make it work. We've done everything we can. It will not work. I called the company and asked them what we need to do, and they have no idea because it's never happened before. And all the ones they've ever sold, that valve has never gone out until this one. The cost to replace it is $4,500. What it does is it allows you to isolate both or one or the other pump. If one of our pumps goes out, we can't shut the station off to fix it until we get that valve taken care of. My problem is right now I'm still trying to figure out how to get it out. So when we do decide on what we're going to do, I just want you gentlemen to be aware of what it's going to cost. I am getting 3 bids. I got a bid from another company. I got a bid from the supplier. And I got one other guy supposed to call me, but right now they're all coming in at about $4,500. And the other one is Lift Station 2. Lift Station 2 is almost 40 years old, and it's starting to break down a lot. Pump number 2 went out. We got it repaired. When we set it in the hole, pump number 1 went out. This happened about 5 years ago. We had the pumps go out back to back, and it's happened again. So we're going to take it out and get number 1 repaired. It's also having some electrical problems that Lamont was looking at. Right now, it looks like we're going to have to replace some relays inside the panel. And you're talking in the neighborhood of $300 to $400 to get it fixed. So right now, that's what I've got going.
And this stuff is absolute necessity.
Yes.
No way around it.
No, sir.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Does this fall within the wastewater treatment budget, or does this fall in the water and sewer line budget?
It would be in the wastewater treatment plant.
In itself?
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming every year we kind of have a budget for things that go awry that we have to cover for maintenance otherwise.
Yes, sir.
And the goal is we have a good year and not have anything go wrong.
Well, we've had about 4 years that were really good, and we didn't have much breakdown. Unfortunately, when you came on, everything changed.
Fair enough. Mr. Jasper, has that been your experience as well?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I've got along quite well with you. We get along real well.
Gus, on that old truck, sludge truck, would that be feasible if we contracted that out to someone to haul all that sludge off, rather than you hire a guy and the truck and everything? Would it be feasible if you could get someone to contract to take that sludge?
Yeah, the city would be willing to do the contract, as long as they keep up with the paperwork.